And welcome again to the big match. Well, if you've looked at this morning's papers, you could hardly have failed to notice that George Best of Manchester United is in trouble again. Booked and blamed for an injury. Best booked as City star is crippled. We investigate that incident. And also on the programme today, happily, we have two hat-trick men. Francis Lee, who scored 3 for Manchester City against Manchester United. And also Tony Brown, who hit 3 for West Brom against the Spurs. Also Watford against Luton.
Spurs touch the ball, and he's sending wrong wing away. Oh, what a save!
And a real slow-motion surprise for all you Watford fans this afternoon. Our studio guest today, Malcolm Allison, coach to Manchester City. We shall also be looking at some of your letters as well, and that's where this caption comes in. But now let's get on with some action, and it's Watford against Luton. Neighbours, but at the moment, of course, poles apart, with Luton striding confidently towards the First Division, Watford in growing trouble towards the foot of the Second Division. Watford field a team with familiar names for those who remember their cup exploits of last season. But Ron Wigg here, the number 8 from Ipswich, is one new face, and it's his goals so far that have kept Watford out of even bigger trouble. Then there's another former Ipswich man, Charlie Woods, at number 11, an experienced winger. As for Luton, they come with a side bubbling with confidence. And in that side at number 8, David Court, who had so many useful seasons with the Arsenal. Now, these Watford-Luton matches mean such a lot. And the crowd of 24,000 is Watford's biggest of the season. Now we wait for the start.
So referee Danny Lydon of Birmingham gets us away. Luton in white defending the goal to our left. Riding high in the Second Division, in second place, in fact. Against Watford, who in fact have won none of their last 6 games, struggling 6th from the bottom of that division. Here's Garbutt with the throw. Lugg trying desperately to get to the ball, and Hoy just as desperate that he shouldn't. And the ball in touch again on the far side, and again it's going to be Terry Garbutt to take the throw for Watford. To his skipper, Keith Eddy. And of course nothing will be better for Watford than a victory against their near rivals Luton to get their confidence going again. Don Given getting no change whatsoever out of David Butler, the man they bought recently from Workington. Seven rather scrappy minutes so far of the game gone, no score. Terry Garbutt with the throw for Watford. Lugg to Garbutt. Eddy. Beating McDonald nicely, Keith Eddy coming on. And coming on again. Finally a shot blocked, and it's Scully. Tricky little winger. First time cross towards Woods, turned back for Wally! Oh, just past that Luton post by Tom Wally. That really was a nice move by Watford. It always had Luton groping, and certainly that shot by Wally, former Arsenal player, had Tony Reid groping across his goal, just wide. Butler for Eddy, who never seems to fail Watford at the back. But that ball was over, says the linesman, and so it's Luton's throw. And I noticed that Malcolm McDonald is on the far side there. Maybe we're going to get another long throw from him. Well, the signs are there. Longish throw it is, but hacked away by Butler as far as Garbutt, and in turn to Wigg. John Ryan. Caught getting in there, but Lee's beating him. And the ball rather fortuitously coming to Charlie Woods. And there's Lugg away. And Reid spotting the danger quickly enough. But a good swift break by Watford. Watford still buzzing about now. Wally. Too anxious. Nearly curling back where both Lugg and Wigg were waiting. Walter Lees. And Lugg for a moment looked as though he might be through, but Slough was covering. Jimmy Ryan. David caught, savaged a little bit there by Garbutt. And Garbutt, I must say, for his own part, has taken a fair bit of stick this afternoon as well already. But the referee pointing out to Garbutt that he wants no more of it. And the free kick then to Luton. Slough with it. Aim towards Don Givens, who seems to be bouncing off Eddie so often. Well, as you'd expect, a very good crowd, as they always get for these Watford-Luton derby games. Wally now for Watford. Challenged all the way by MacDonald, and Wally doing a fair bit of challenging in his own right. The two number 10s getting in a right old tangle there. David caught. Givens. Bannister up on the outside of him. MacDonald with Lees in close attendance once more. And a poor one there by MacDonald, sending Scullion away for Watford. Garbutt storming in on the inside, but I think he may have thrown a little too much of that to the defender. Oh, Wigg surprisingly allowed to get hold of that one, and Nicol then putting it behind for a corner. Well, Wigg must have been a little surprised at the amount of time he was given in that Luton penalty area by Nicol. There's Lees, the number 5, going up. There aren't too many big men in this Watford side. Back to Scullion, looking to beat Hoy. But he gets himself another corner. Number 10 is Tom Wally. Here's Stuart Scullion, former Charlton Athletic player, to take the corner. A winger that a lot of First Division clubs have eyed with a certain amount of interest and envy over the last couple of seasons. Here's Scullion then with the corner. Up under that crossbar and forcing Reed to push it over. So a little more pressure now building up on this Luton goalmouth. Third successive corner. Looked to me very much as though it must come from the other end, and the ball boy seems to be agreeing now. So this time it's going to be Charlie Woods who's going to take it. I wonder if those photographers are going to get the picture for tomorrow's paper. Here comes the corner from Charlie Woods. Well, in fact, he fell, he wasn't pushed. And now MacDonald. That characteristic run of his down the left with a lot of acceleration, and Givens in the middle, driven hard and low towards him, out as far as Hoy. Stumbling, recovering John Ryan. David caught. Played wide again to Keane. And white shirts are up, and my goodness, the golden shirts are back as well. And now, after 3 quick corners at one end, we get a corner for Luton at the other. With the game at last becoming a little more lively, with 27 minutes gone. A lot of nervous sparring in the first 20 minutes or so, in a match that means a lot to both clubs, with so much local rivalry. So here comes the corner for Luton. Up under that crossbar, and a goal there by Mike Keane. Mike Keane has done it. His 3rd goal of the season. Sending the Luton fans wild. A nice in-swinging corner, and Keane there to finish it off. So 28 minutes gone, and Luton, I suppose the form horses for this game, 2nd in the 2nd division against Watford, 6th from the bottom. Gergola. And now Scullion for Watford. It'll do nothing for their confidence, with no victories in their last 6 games. Well, yes, they come down the M1 from Luton. Wally Played with the outside of his boot with a lot of accuracy there by Wally to Garbutt. Charlie Wood's coming in on it, but Nichols there first. Jimmy Ryan. Keane recovering. John Ryan. Eddie. Scullion for Garbutt. Scullion again. Oh, he was in two minds there, and it went to David Court. Court now sending MacDonald away. Again, this powerful run. Almost irresistible, and down he goes. But play on, says the referee. MacDonald feeling very much that he got a penalty there. And certainly the impression was that he was tripped. But it may well have been that he was tripped and fell into the penalty area. But certainly it looked a trip to me, but the referee thought otherwise. And so Watford breathe again, and it's Butler once more for them. A little too slow in thought and action there. Garbutt. The Watford bench a little bit worried, I would think now. Now Butler for Watford. A goal down, but still very much in this game, Watford, as Garbutt puts it across again. Nicholl only gets it half away, but it's as far as Ryan, and so that's the main thing. MacDonald taking these balls well that are coming at him with some pace. Ryan now to Jimmy Ryan. And Luton's ball. Don't think Eddie can really complain. That ball quite clearly came off him. And it's going to be Mike Keane with the throw for Luton. Slough. Givens. Hoy. MacDonald. Nice ball there, and stopped by Eddie. And David Court going on. Stopped again by Eddie. MacDonald now playing it for Bannister. Watford under real pressure now as Keane puts a fine ball out there for David Court. MacDonald waiting in the middle for it, and so too is Givens. He couldn't get his head to it. Keane again, or Hoy rather. And Jimmy Ryan, and a deflection past that Watford post by Mike Packer. Luton finding their men brilliantly in that little skirmish around that Watford goal. And Mike Walker in the Watford goal, dancing about there, always under pressure. Now probably under some more of it as Jimmy Ryan gets ready to take this corner for Luton. Givens at the near post. Keane and MacDonald poised at the far side. And Garbutt. An overhead kick, and it'll come to Court again. John Ryan. An offside given against Jimmy Ryan. The last few minutes of this first half, which really has bucked up a bit in the last quarter of an hour, 20 minutes or so. Garbutt. Jimmy Ryan. Wally. Playing well now for the moment, Watford, as Lugg tried to find Scullion, but it was a poor pass. We go into injury time, and there can't be very much of it at the end of this first half. And it's going to be a throw to Watford. Nobody really seems to want it. Terry Garbutt with it. Trying for the umpteenth time to get Scullion away, and Scullion obstructed, says the referee, by Mike Keane. Not happy with that decision, Mike Keane. But it gives Watford a last gasp chance at the end of this first half to do something about the one-goal deficit. Walter Lees going up, and Givens, you'll notice, going right back with him. That's how they're arranged, with plenty of golden shirts of Watford are up there. There's the kick, low and hard. Lees looking for it with his head, and the ball going off Mike Keane, who was going with him. And so it's a corner now to Watford. The last seconds now of this first half. Woods with it, and the whistle's gone for half-time. Even though those Luton players desperately trying to get the ball away. With the only goal of this first half having come from Mike Keane to put Luton ahead, but still to come on the big match programme this afternoon. Not only the remains of this second division match, but the first division match between Manchester United and Manchester City and West Bromwich Albion and Spurs. The half-time score, though, here at Watford is Watford 0, Luton 1, and we shall be back with more soccer for you in just a couple of minutes. So Watford then get us away. Now defending the goal to our left in this second half, a goal down. And goals certainly haven't come easily for them lately. They've scored only 3 in their last 5 games. And Luton, I thought in the first half, if anything, looking more together, certainly more urgency about them. And with the confidence that you get from being so high in the division. So it'll be quite a task for Watford. And here's Mike Walker, their goalkeeper. Wigg trying to bundle Nicol off the ball. Wally played it straight at Garbutt, and so it's Don Givens now for Luton. Swung wide and intercepted by Packer. Keane played nicely there for Jimmy Ryan. Only McDonald is up with him, though. It's a fair target to aim for. Ryan going on, and McDonald going in hard and forcing Walker not only right into the back of that net like a ball, but Walker looking almost like a fish trying to get out of that net. In fact, had punched the ball over for a corner to Luton in the opening minute of the second half. And it's going to be David Court to take it. Givens again at the near post. Big crowd behind that goal, looking for some more action now as Court plants it under that crossbar. And Walker must have been pushed as he jumped. Well, they look a little bit glum. Maybe they're Watford supporters. And Scullion once more. I would think that Watford will play more and more on Stuart Scullion, this number 7, who looks more likely than anybody else to find a way through this Luton defence. Butler well up. Tom Wally well up as well. And there's number 9, Lugg, but offside. And although the ball finishes up in the back of the net, the linesman had his flag up a long way before it found the back of the net. And in fact, such a long time before the ball was in the back of the net that they brought it across to this side of the field to take the free kick. Well, they're the Luton supporters. Lees, who's done a good conscientious job, certainly on Malcolm McDonald. Now Eddie. Flicked wide for Terry Garbutt. Garbutt with Hoy covering him, put on now for Charlie Woods. Woods and Hoy having a right old tangle for it too. Well, the ball's got to come out of there somewhere. And in fact, it's a free kick to Luton. Jack Bannister with it. Don Givens wanting it. And Givens, in fact, getting up well to flick it on towards McDonald. Garbutt. And Butler. Packer. Scullion with a back header. And Nicol keeping very close to Lugg. Mike Packer to Tom Wally with time enough to get this one into that Luton penalty area. Slough to get it away. And now McDonald to Givens. Caught. Givens again. John Ryan. Mike Keane and Jimmy Ryan. taken rather aggressively from behind by Mike Packer. But it's a throw and nothing more for Luton, and Mike Keane with it. Ryan. And Packer. Twice in danger of losing that ball. And it comes across there with Gibbons, almost getting ahead to it, and the corner given. Good piece of defensive work there by David Butler, because it seemed that there would be no danger at all from that situation for Watford, and suddenly there was, and Butler was very alive to it. This number 2 that they bought quite recently from Workington. There he is, David Butler, number 2. Ryan now. Keane to plant it across there, caught, leaping for it, and Lees this time, forced to give away the corner at the other side of the ground. Walter Lees, the big number 5, is caught, very active in that Watford penalty area. In fact, coming out now to take the corner. Gibbons again at the near post. McDonald and Keane are there too. Here's the corner. McDonald making a run for it, and Walker losing it, and almost put into his own goal. I think by Wally, no, by Lees. Eddie urging his men to calm down. And certainly there have been 1 or 2 moments of panic now in that Watford defence. Here comes the other corner from David Court again. Not such a good one. Woods. And Lugg. Garbutt caught it on the thigh, but found his man. And that man was Eddie. Eddie again. Scullion with that curious sloping run of his on the left-hand touchline now. And caught to get it away. Only as far as Eddie. Now Wally. Scullion darting, but then once he'd made his dart, he stopped. And Wally wasn't aware of it, tried to play it inside that Luton fullback. Jim Ryan. And it looks as though Watford are going to bring a substitute, Duncan Welborn, on. Limbering up on the far side. There's Duncan Welborn, a full-back. But now Scullion. Packer going on outside him. And finally it's Jimmy Ryan who gets the ball into touch. And they want him on now. Trying to attract the referee's attention, and the referee's attention has been drawn to it. We've got to wait and see who goes off. Well, it's Duncan Welborn on, and it's going to be Ray Lugg who's going on. Ray Lugg, who's been a midfield player since he came down from Middlesbrough. A bit surprising to see him, in fact, in the number 9 shirt up amongst the front runners. And a goal kick. Well, it'll be interesting to see how they shuffle it around now, because Welborn stays at the back. And there is Welborn getting his first touch of the ball, and he's sending wrong wing away. Oh, what a save! What a save by Reed. Well, that really was the most dramatic entry there by Duncan Welborn. A beautifully headed ball there for Wigg. Gibbons. Well, that's the kick of a man who knows that his side are just a few seconds away from a valuable away win. It'll eat up a few more seconds. Presumably that was Don Gibbons' thinking. Referee looking hard at his watch. And there goes the final whistle, and 2 more points that send Luton on their drive once more towards the First Division, and puts Watford in more trouble towards the bottom of the Second Division. Now, no victories in their last 7 games. The only goal of the game coming in the first half after 27 minutes then from the Luton skipper, Mike Keane. So the final score here at Vicarage Road, Watford, Watford 0, Luton 1.
Well, still to come on the big match programme this afternoon, that George Best affair, Manchester United against Manchester City and West Bromwich Albion against the Spurs, so plenty of goals there. But what about that Luton victory? A victory, well, it was an important one, of course, but it was also gained at some cost because Roger Hoy went off with an injured leg muscle and is now likely to miss the Christmas games, vital games. And Don Givens also was injured as well. But what about the goal that brought Luton their victory?
Well, here it is. It was a terrific goal. Watch the way Mike Keane comes in, leans back and guides the ball to the right. He moved in from the right, leaned to the left and guided into the right-hand corner of the goal. A really tremendous header that by Captain Keane. Absolutely superb. In fact, we thought yesterday that perhaps Luton might have deserved a 2-0 win because there was a penalty incident with Malcolm McDonald where he was brought down when he was flying through. Let's have a look at that now. Watford and Luton fans, hold your breath, because here comes the answer. He showed great speed here, but also so did Lees, the number 5, chasing him to keep within striking distance of him. And he gets him just outside the area. Just decide whether you think his foot does actually touch him. I think it just touches the end of his toe. But you can see clearly that it was outside the area, although by the time that he comes down, he's well inside the penalty area. But it was Watford who were really unlucky. Watch this through pass for their disallowed goal and decide whether Lugg, the number 9, is onside at that point. He's just on the right-hand edge of your picture, and you can see over the other side of the picture a white-shirted fullback there, I think, playing him onside. In fact, the Luton players know the linesman got his flag up there so that they do stop. But we can see that Lugg goes on, he crosses the ball, and it does, in fact, end up in the net. But the score was 1-0, and that was the one that might have made it 1-1. Not the greatest game in the world yesterday, 2 very good points for Luton. I thought Terry Garbett showed lots of enthusiasm and skill for Watford and deserved perhaps a bit more support from the people around him. But for Luton, man of the match for me, Mike Keane. 600 performances, never had his name spoken to, taken by a referee, and for me that's kind of professional that I like to draw attention to.
And next we come to your letters, and first it's that disallowed Manchester United goal against the Spurs at White Hart Lane last Saturday. Jimmy, you may remember, asked you to write in if you could see anything wrong with the goal when it was disallowed. We, in fact, could see nothing. You apparently saw a whole host of things, but in all honesty, none of them really stood up. We checked with the officials, Ray Tinkler, the referee from Boston, and the linesman, in fact, who signalled in the first place. They said it was for pushing. I think we ought to have another look at it just to see how much pushing there was and who did the pushing. Here's the corner. Bobby Charlton taking it for Manchester United. I think you'll find if there's any pushing at all, it's the number 5 in the white shirt, Mike England, pushing David Sadler there, who deflects the ball just over that Tottenham line. But as I say, the goal was disallowed, and it was disallowed for pushing. To us, it looked a perfectly good goal, but as we've said so often enough on this programme, the referee's word is final. Also from that Spurs game of last week, we had letters from G.K. Chatto of Portland in Dorset, Martin Kelly of Dagenham, and M. Hollyoak of Cheshunt, saying that when Alan Gilzean had a shot superbly saved by Jimmy Rimmer, in fact, Gilzean had handled it a moment before he struck it. Well, did he? Let's have another look at that one. Here's Cyril Knowles going to plant the ball across, and you'll plant it into that Manchester United penalty area, and you'll see Gilzean go for it. It looks as though he hits it with his hand, coming up now, but in fact it hits the head of Tony Dunn, the fullback. But what this does give us a chance to see, this superb save, reflex save, by Jimmy Rimmer in the Manchester United goal, the man keeping Alex Stepney out of that first-team place. Well, we can't get away from that wonderful Spurs-Manchester United game of last week. And we had an angry letter this week from 4 members of the Lexpo Football Club of London W1, directed at Jimmy, who said that Gilzean's headed equaliser for Spurs was in fact a deflection. How can anyone who knows anything about football give a more inaccurate assessment, said the 4 lads. Jimmy.
Well, just to explain, when I said deflection, I didn't mean one that he didn't mean. I meant that he was demonstrating the highest heading skill in the game, that is a deflection header. It was a brilliant skill, superbly carried out, and all credit to Alan Gilzean. I think what you thought that I said was that it was luck, such as a deflected goal sometimes which bumps into somebody and goes off at another angle. That certainly wasn't luck, it was wonderful skill. Well done, Alan Gilzean, and I hope you understand.
Finally, the aftermath still of that dog on the pitch at Colchester when Brentford goalkeeper Chick Brodie was injured. We seem to be squeezing a little bit of mileage out of that every week. And we've had a letter this week from G. Robinson of Celtic Rangers Boys Football Club of Walthamstow, London E17, who says, I was refereeing a game and had just blown for a goal kick when I heard everyone calling my name, and I turned round and saw a cow standing on the centre circle. I stopped the game and went over to the cow and it ran away. Well, it inspired our cartoonist to present us with this little cartoon. And there's a nice little note from Mr. Robinson at the end. He says, we all can hope that Chick Brodie is soon very much better and fit again to play, and you were lucky, Chick, that you heard a bark and not a moo. Well, now it's time for some more action, and it's from that mammoth Manchester derby game. Manchester United against Manchester City, a match in which George Best had his name taken, Glyn Pardoe had his leg broken, and Francis Lee scored a hat-trick for the City. United are in the darker shirts here. The pictures come from Granada Television, and the commentator is Gerald Sinstadt.
Could be dangerous, but Jeffries did well. A foul given against Fitzpatrick. Fitzpatrick, who's really established himself in this side now. He's had an unbroken run that goes back to last March. Neither side really got the measure of the length of their passes yet. Lee being pushed there, and a header against the post and in from Young. Neil Young, the scorer. No, it's Doyle. Doyle, the scorer. Midway through the first half, City leading by 1-0. Slightly tepid game so far. Well done, James. Really reached for that. Charlton. Good long ball that finds Best. And Law seizing on this, coming through. Oh, winning the 1-2 and running into Jeffries. But I think they're calling for a stretcher for Pardoe, which looks not good at all. Certain real concern among the City players. Dennis Law also having treatment. We've already got a City substitute warming up, and clearly that's the last we're going to see of Glyn Pardoe. Malcolm Allison has appeared down on the touchline, having words with Arthur Mann. Tony Book talking to Dennis Law, anxious that this situation shouldn't escalate. It was clearly just an accidental collision. Rotten luck for Glyn Pardoe, who had to fight against injury to make the game at all. Mr. Homewood in discussions with the linesman. Meanwhile, City prepared to go on with it without the referee, but now Mr. Homewood going back to join them. It looks very much as though George Best is being booked. Well, it would be very interesting to know what that's for. Wilf McGuinness is on the touchline feeling angry. But so that's real trouble for George Best. To take the free kick himself, but Charlton is there. George Best then, another booking. He's already had 3 in 12 months and is awaiting an appearance before the disciplinary committee. This booking won't affect that, but it'll mean that he's already got 1 on the slate, as it were, for the next 12 months. 5 minutes plus injury time to go to the interval. 1-0 City lead. Neil Young. Lee going out to his left. Fitzpatrick waiting to make the challenge. Summerby and Fitzpatrick and Lee in trouble, and Mr. Homewood doing a splendid job there, and he's going to book Lee, presumably for something that Lee said, and it looks as though he might have Fitzpatrick too. Yes, he's got Fitzpatrick. This is the second booking for Fitzpatrick. He had his name taken against Newcastle at the end of October. But I don't think he booked Lee. I think perhaps it was only Fitzpatrick. Oakes with the free kick. Oakes again. Lee again, and it's there! Just sheer persistence, winning that for Francis Lee and giving him his 13th goal of the season.
More goals coming up as we go into the second half.
Jeffries, what a good game this boy has had. Lee riding tackles like a tank. Best. Watson trying to play it short for Sartori. Styles, and meant for Dunn to run onto, but intercepted by Bell. And now Summerby away with Lee unmarked in the middle. There's the pass for him. Can he control it? It's going to go in. Francis Lee, second of the game. Oakes coming through. Lee. And Lee tackled by Dunn. Tommy Doyle and Brian Kidd in conversation. Tony Book, the Manchester City captain. Francis Lee on his feet again. It's a free kick to City. Young setting it rolling for Mann. Mann did very well there. Lee, his hat-trick! It could be that we are seeing the biggest humiliation that United have ever had from City. City are so much in control of this game, it's almost unbelievable. It's Patrick's header to Aston. Ball for handball, but he clearly took it on his chest. Styles. Booth. Styles coming into Oakes. And now Kidd. And he's got it. Well taken by Kidd. The ball lobbed in by Nobby Styles and Kidd the scorer. That'll do a little bit for United's confidence. Brian Kidd now for United. George Best. This could be dangerous. Good shot, but Corrigan perfectly positioned. Didn't have to move an inch. Left leg. There's a United supporter on our left suggesting that it's punishment from the Almighty, but I think that that's a United point of view.
Well, a very fine performance there by Manchester City, I'm sure you'll agree, and who better to discuss it a good deal further than the Manchester City coach, Malcolm Allison. Delighted to have Malcolm in our studio today. He's come down from Manchester for the programme, a member, of course, of the successful ITV World Cup panel. Here's Mal now, and with him, Jimmy Hill.
Thank you, Jim.
Well, congratulations, Malcolm, on a fine win yesterday. Thank you for coming down from the programme. But obviously the first news we want to know, how is Glyn Pardoe?
Well, Jim, he has a double fracture, and they were rather worried last night about him because the circulation wasn't too good to his foot. But I believe this morning that things are going a lot better for him, and we hope that he will be out of pain today.
You weren't allowed to go to the hospital to see him, I understand, afterwards. That's very unusual, isn't it?
Well, they haven't. They had this trouble with the circulation, you know, and they were having to work on him.
But that's over now.
Yes. Yeah.
Well, we'll come back to that in a moment. First of all, let's look at one or two of the incidents in that game before we look at the tackle. And the first goal, which you were rather pleased about.
Very pleased, yes.
Yeah, tell us about it.
Well, the ball went out to Colin Bell, and he turned on this ball, and he crossed a very early ball, and Mike Doyle followed it in and got up exceptionally high and headed it off the far post.
There's Colin running out for it now.
He turns on this exceptionally quickly. Perfect cross this is.
Look at the way he came up in the air there as he hooked
There's
that
Mike
ball.
Doyle going in, rises very, very high, and heads it in off the far post, giving Rimmer no chance. Mike loves to score at the Stretford end. There he goes.
He's not very fond of United, is he?
No, he's a Manchester boy, and he's had United rubbed into him all his life, you know, and I believe his next door neighbour's a very strong United supporter.
What about Francis Lee now, the one who scored the wonderful hat-trick, but I believe you had some kind of a financial arrangement with him this season?
Well, Francis, he's never been a very good header of a ball, and I said to him this year that I betted him £5 that at 5 to 1 that he wouldn't score 5 headed goals this season, and yesterday he scored his 5th goal.
What's been the result of that in his play?
Well, he's been practising quite hard. He even keeps his eyes open now when he heads the ball.
Yeah. And what happened with this goal yesterday? I mean, it was a great header. Would you class it as a great header?
Well, it was. His timing was good, and he put it in exactly the right place. This is a situation. Arthur Mann picks the ball up here. He turns brilliantly on this ball and takes 4 defenders away from the ball and crosses another very good cross. Catches the defence on the wrong foot there, and you see Francis coming now. He's standing, Francis, and he just plants it right in the top corner. And you see him, when he walks back, you'll see him look up in the stand to me, telling me that I owe him £25.
There he is now walking. He hasn't had time to look at you. As a matter of fact, I'm very grateful to you yesterday because I won a bottle of champagne off John Alderton in the result of yesterday's match, Manchester City versus United, and you won it well. What about that other incident that took my eye, the referee getting cramp in that game? At what point in the game was that?
This was about 3 or 4 minutes to go, and he just went down and blew his whistle, and he had cramp. This, I think, is a bad point. You know, I think that the standard of fitness of referees should be better than this. I mean, the amount of running they have to do is nothing near a player, and they shouldn't be going down with cramp.
You think this is a positive fault in that referee?
Well,
He wasn't an old referee.
No, he's a young referee, and maybe it was a nervous tension. I think he was a little nervous because it was a big occasion for him, the first derby he'd ever done, and maybe this affected him.
In fact, of course, it was a very dramatic derby, not only in terms of result, but with that clash between Best and Pardo. I want to look at that now because I think this is such a vital thing that people put this in perspective, and I want your views on it afterwards on this incident because I think it's one that can easily be misunderstood. And let's have a look now and see what we can see about this clash. This is in slow motion. There is Best chasing after the ball. He's miscontrolled it, and you can see, I think, that Pardo comes in and is there first. But Best goes in only fractionally late up on that tackle, but nevertheless, he was second in to Pardo, and you can see that awful moment there in slow motion as Pardo falls on the ground injured. Mark, how did you view that yesterday after the game?
After the game, actually at the moment, I always fear those situations. You know, you can see that one player's going to be late on another player, and you always fear the worst when they go in that type of tackle. And I was worried and I'm very concerned. The thing that I was amazed at was that the referee never stopped the game then. He never gave a foul, you know, of any kind.
No. It was, in fact, the linesman who called the referee's attention to what went on in that tackle.
No, I believe that the players made the referee aware of what had happened, and he went to the linesman afterwards.
Was the referee in a good position to see that?
Well, I thought the referee was in a very good situation. He was only about 10 yards from the ball and facing the actual tackle. Whereas the linesman had Glyn Pardo's back was to the linesman.
What about Georgie Best? Should he have taken his name?
Well, if he doesn't give a foul in the incident, then he can't take his name. Because the referee couldn't have thought it was a foul. But after Glyn Pardo broke his leg and the players complained, and then he went to the linesman, he came back and took his name. I think that he accepted the linesman decision whereby I think he was in a better situation to see it.
And the linesman was saying, in fact, that Best was late into that tackle. Do you support that view?
I thought Best was late in the tackle, yes. But I was seeing it on television today, you know, Georgie often goes into tackles like this and often wins the ball. And only Georgie knows whether it was intentional or unintentional. I don't think that Georgie would do that sort of thing.
He's not the kind of player, George, who would do that kind of thing generally.
No, no. Georgie is generally the player who gets that sort of thing.
I must say my own view, and I'm not involved as a manager. I've seen that today. I think he went for the ball. I honestly think he miscontrolled the ball and went hell for leather to get it back, but he was late in, and Glyn Parder was there first. What did he do at the end of the game, Mark?
George came to the dressing room and he came in and he said that he was terribly sorry and that, you know, he could see he was very distressed, and the lads just said, well, okay, you know, and I said to him, I thought you were late, George, you know. He said, well, I'm sorry, and I think he was very distressed, and I think it will affect him for quite a while.
Well, it was one of the things that happens in 1970 football with its physical clash, which just is part of the game. Now, you've been a bit rude about London's challenge for the league. Do you think now London have got any chance, Arsenal, Tottenham, Chelsea, of catching Leeds?
I think that the only team that's got any chance, you know, with Leeds are Arsenal. That's the only team. I don't see the others with a chance now.
They were a bit lucky when they beat you, were they not?
Leeds,
Arsenal.
They play well. The goalkeeper played brilliantly for them. He's part of the team. I don't say they had 2 chances. They took both chances. Maybe when we come to Highbury, maybe we might get 2 chances. And
So you're predicting the league is not over yet. Arsenal have a chance of catching Leeds.
yes, yes. I think it's just a 2-horse race now.
Well, thank you very much for coming down today to the studio for us. And would you pass on the best wishes of all the viewers to Glyn Parder?
Thank you very much.
Right, now let's have some more action. And our third match on the programme today, in fact, is defeat for Spurs up in the Midlands, stunned on the way by a penalty decision, which you're going to see as well. At any rate, it's West Bromwich Albion then against the Spurs at the Hawthorns, where the pictures come from ATV, where the commentator is Hugh Johns, and West Bromwich Albion in the striped shirts.
Wants somebody to break on his left, hopes there. Again, it's closing up in the middle again. Astral trying to get the touch. Phil Beale tidying up. Well done, Beale. Jimmy Pearce then has Perryman inside for support. Knowles up the line for Chivers. Gilzine, and that could break for Mallory. Oh, Cantello seemed to be slow going across there. His legs just wouldn't work fast enough. Peters. Watch Chivers! Absolutely no doubt about that. A quick break, and Martin Chivers gets on the end of things again. So
Now the second half.
Alan Mallory inside for Gilzine. The tackle coming from Brown. Kinnear forward. Oh, crikey. It was Merrick's boot up around Chivers' eyebrows. Peters giving it a try. Hartford away as far as McVitie. Bobby Hope breaking out in midfield. Way over on the far side is McVitie, and that is a magnificent ball for him. Oh, the thought was right, the execution was all wrong. Chance to do it again, though. Here's Lovett breaking. Still going. Chance now for Astell. Suggett. And Brown. Tony Brown. Well, a little bit fluky. Suggett should have made sure, but Brown finally did. McVitie wants it in midfield. Now Hartford. Too many people wanting to play midfield for Albion at the moment. 4-5 men in there. Cantello. Hartford. Astell on for Suggett. Great cry for a penalty, and it's been given. It's been given. He's there. Tony Brown. 2-1 then. 2-1, Tony Brown makes it his second goal of the game. As good a penalty as you will ever see. And the game suddenly bubbling into extra life. So much at stake, of course, for Spurs wanting to keep in contact with Leeds and Arsenal at the top of the table. Only one away defeat so far this season. Now, at this precise moment of time, on their second away defeat. England a gift to Hartford. McVitie free on the right side. Hartford in with a shot. And he hit the post eventually off Jennings' fingers. Astell in for Brown. And he didn't make any mistake with that. Oh, Tony Brown. A hat-trick for Tony Brown.
So the Spurs are beaten. But what about that penalty that sent them on the way to their defeat? Let's have a look at that again now.
Well, I thought Spurs were very unlucky. I don't think it was a penalty, and I think the referee was influenced by that fall which happened after the incident. An awful moment for Spurs because it was the vital goal.
Well, referees have had good days on our big match programme, but in our opinion, this really hasn't been one of them. That's all from the programme today. Hope very much that you've enjoyed, and of course that you'll join me again for On the Ball next Saturday lunchtime, the big match again next Sunday afternoon. A little bonus to finish with for Scottish fans. The goal by which Aberdeen beat Celtic at Celtic yesterday to put Aberdeen on top of the Scottish First Division. A throw by Hermiston, and a long one. Ross getting under it, and Hopper to nod it home.